A 5-minute ferry trip across the harbor from downtown Nanaimo, and you're there, Newcastle Island, a place rich in history that offers a variety of things to experience.
Newcastle Island is located within the Snuneymeux First Nations territory, and the Snuneymeux First Nations Band is a part of the partnership of operating the park. And this year, 2011, we're looking at incorporating First Nations interpreting programs through walking tours as well as canoe tours.
What we offer is usually 1.5 to 2 hour canoe tours, and it's straight paddling, telling stories from our traditional stories that were handed down from generation to generation. As we're going around the island, we tell the history of what part of the island we're passing.
Newcastle Island, it's been used for many years as training grounds. The use of the medicinal plants. There was specific plants that were only found here on Newcastle Island, which is very significant to our history and culture and all the teachings that have been handed down to us for thousands of years.
Hey, if you guys ever go hiking up in the mountains and you don't have enough water or enough food and you're lost up the mountains, see these little brown things on the cedar tree? You put that under your tongue and it'll suppress your hunger and thirst.
I've been a First Nations interpreter for the past 6 years. I talk about the First Nations history of what our people used to do on the island, and I tell stories. I also do nature walks, and I take them around a portion of the island and talk about the traditional medicines that our people used to pick. Talk about like the moss from a tree. It's used for our conditioner to make your hair soft. And the seaweed is good for your skin, your hair. It's also good for getting rid of the common cold. It's got 10 times more vitamins than most vegetables and fruit, so it's quite rich.
As were many of the visitors in the 1920s, 30s, and 40s, the island was a main tourist stop for people traveling on steamships. But those heydays are long gone, and now the island is of a more tranquil setting.
The Snuneymeux First Nations people have had a long history on Newcastle Island and have maintained the connection with the island back through the sultry fishing canning days. A couple of the hatcheries were on the island, as well as through the rock quarries, the sandstone days. And now we want to get back to our roots and continue to share the stories and legends and the rich history of the island.
So Eagle went way high up in the sky and Bear put his paws up, and then Eagle came down and landed on his paws and then flew away, but he left his talons. So the bear went and swiped and caught a salmon, and so that totem pole is where the bear has his first fish.
When you're over here, you know, you're within the city of Nanaimo, but you're away from everything at the same time.
It's a place of healing. Like when you come to Newcastle Island, it feels like you forget about all your worries about when you at home.
If you'd like to get away from it all for a day hike or a weekend of camping, you can find out all the necessary information by phone or internet. For Big Summer, I'm Melissa Hall.